Hello, welcome back. We are going to be cooking up some high protein meals today. One of the keys to being successful when it comes to health and fitness is simply planning ahead. I know that's not always an easy thing to do, especially if you're a busy person. It's hard to cut out 2-3 hours of your day to just focus on meal prepping, but I promise you it is so worth the effort. I have provided a free step-by-step guide for you. It will have your grocery list, it will have all of the recipes, ingredients, everything that you need to recreate today's meal plan. Okay, let's go. So today's meals, I'm gonna have 2 proteins, 1 carb and a veggie mixed in with that carb with another veggie on the side. And I'm also gonna be making a high protein snack, which is really delicious. For protein number 1, we're gonna be making a baked chicken breast, and I wanna make a nice butternut squash creamy sauce to cook the chicken in. I just feel like that's gonna taste really good, and it's also got some nice fall vibes. So I'm gonna make an egg white frittata. I'm also gonna be making a quinoa and kale salad with some fall flavors, honey baked or honey carrots, and then I'm gonna make protein balls, and they're gonna be really, really good. So that's the menu. So step 1 is just print off the guide so that you can easily look at it throughout this whole process. Gather all of your ingredients. I have gathered all of the ingredients and I've put them into specific piles based on my grocery shopping list. So everything is nicely organized. I'm gonna show you what I have. Let's get down to business. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is just peel and chop a butternut squash. Scrape out those seeds. I don't know if you can tell that I have a garbage can like right beside me. I'm not just scraping squash seeds onto the floor. Oh, that is something my kids would do, not me. So squash is definitely my favorite fall food or fall flavor. I'm curious what your guys' favorite fall food is. Leave a comment below. I'm really curious what you guys enjoy eating in the fall. So I'm gonna be roasting the squash and also the pear and the onion and some garlic all together on one tray. And I'm gonna be dividing some of the ingredients out and just putting them into like my kale salad or the frittata. Actually, no, I don't think I'm using any of these for the frittata. Anyways, I'm gonna be taking some out to use in other recipes. Get yourself a nice baking tray. I'm just gonna cube up the squash. And obviously the bigger the cubes, the longer it's gonna take to bake. Just cube them a little bit smaller. And also I'm going to be putting some of the squash into the kale salad, so I don't want like massive chunks. I'd rather keep them on the smaller side. Like that, you see? That's what we're going for. So, try to give these a little bit of space. Oh my goodness, this is not all gonna fit on one tray. Okay, scratch that. I am doing 2 baking trays. Give these a rinse and I'll be right back. I'm gonna line this one with a bit of parchment just to keep things clean and easier when I'm all done so I don't have to wash as many dishes. Okay, we're gonna slice up some pear, and we're also gonna slice up the onion. And I'm gonna take out, how many garlic cloves here? Follow the instructions. 3 cloves of garlic. Just gonna peel off the skin. You don't even need to chop them, just like that. Slice our pear, we're gonna keep the skin on. Here's the 2 trays, and I'm just gonna spread these out. I'm gonna put a little bit of cooking spray, and I'm gonna roast them in the oven for about 30 to 40 minutes. while that's roasting, we are going to rinse our quinoa and start simmering that. And our quinoa is actually gonna go with our kale, so we're gonna make a salad. So I wanna do the quinoa at the start because it needs a little bit of time to cool. We're gonna use 1 cup quinoa, which is going to yield us about 3 cups of cooked quinoa. And with our quinoa, we're gonna add 2 cups of broth, but you could also use water if you prefer. Just like that the broth adds a little bit more flavor. And also, we're gonna be using a little bit of broth with our chicken butternut squash sauce. So I figure if I'm gonna be opening it anyways, I might as well use it in another recipe as well. That's it, and I'm just gonna pop the lid on and let it come to a simmer. And once it's simmering, I'm gonna cook it for 15 minutes. So next we're gonna be chopping some zucchini and mushrooms and a little bit of garlic. This is gonna be for our egg white, or mostly egg white frittata. I like to add at least 1 egg, 1 whole egg. Just find it gives it a little bit more flavor, and I kind of gag when I eat egg whites on their own. If you like egg whites, you do egg whites, girl. So half of this zucchini I'm going to save and put in the kale salad, but I'm going to saute everything together on 1 pan, so I don't really have to worry about separating it out yet. I will do that once it's cooked. Do about 5 mushrooms sliced. Just 1 garlic clove. Okay. Voila. Okay, so I'm just gonna heat up a large pan and put a little bit of cooking spray or olive oil or butter, whatever you like to use, and I'm just gonna saute those for a little bit and let them get a little bit brown and yummy. Okay, next thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna prepare our kale, and I have a nice head of kale here. I think it's called a head. I don't really know, to be honest. So, get yourself a salad spinner, and with kale, you don't really wanna eat these hard stems. They're just obviously very chewy. So what you can do is just remove the leaf from the stem just by like picking it off. And if you want, you can actually save the hard pieces and just wash them and put them in a Ziploc bag, and you can put them in your smoothies. You can juice them, or you can just throw them out because ain't nobody got time for that. We're gonna be chopping them up again once we've washed them, so you don't have to make them like super small or anything at this point. A portion at a time and chop it. The good thing about kale is you can mix it with the dressing and store it in the fridge, and it's not gonna go all soggy on you. So this is a really great salad that you can meal prep in advance, and it will store really well in the fridge for a few days. And once it's chopped, you're gonna just put it in a big bowl. We're gonna need lots of space because we're gonna be mixing this with the quinoa as well. So get a really nice big bowl. Don't forget about your veggies. You want to make sure that you're giving them a bit of a stir while they're cooking. Oh yeah. Nice and brown. So with kale, you want to kind of massage the kale leaves. It just helps to break it down a little bit. Squeeze into the kale. If you don't like kale, you just rub it until you love it, baby. All right, so the veggies are still cooking. They need about, I don't know, 5 more minutes. The quinoa is just about done, so I'm gonna check that when the timer dings. In the meantime, I'm gonna quickly just mix up the dressing for the kale salad, and it's just a simple balsamic with olive oil, a little bit of Dijon garlic and honey, and I will set that aside so when I'm ready to mix everything together, it's just they're ready to go. So we need a 1/4 cup of balsamic, 1/4 cup of olive oil. Yeah, I hear ya, I hear ya. Where were we? 2 tablespoons of honey. No. And 1 tablespoon of Dijon with a little bit of salt and pepper. And garlic. 1 clove of garlic. Set that aside. Gotta look at my list. Okay, we gotta turn our oven down now to 350 because we are going to put our frittata in soon. After about 35, maybe 30 minutes, you wanna check on your squash and your onion and your pear and garlic. You just wanna give everything a stir so that it browns on all sides. And also don't forget about your veggies that are sauteing. Make sure you give them a little stir as well. And then once the quinoa has cooked, you wanna take the lid off and give it a little bit of a stir. And we want the quinoa to cool as much as possible. So keep the lid off, try to just stir it occasionally so that it can cool down. You could even put it in a separate bowl if you prefer. I don't want any more dishes, so I'm gonna keep mine in the pot. Okay, we're gonna set these aside to cool. And we're going to check our veggies. We still need a bit of time. Stir them up. And I think our next step is the frittata. Yes. Gonna grease a pie dish. And this is what we're gonna bake our frittata in. All around. For the frittata, we're gonna do 1 egg plus 1 1/4 cups of egg whites. I'm just going to eyeball it and do about 1/3 cup. Oh, too much. There we go. I'm gonna go easy on the salt. I'm gonna use a 1/4 teaspoon because the feta cheese is already quite salty. Okay, so mix that. And then we're gonna add in some of those sauteed veggies. So the zucchini and the mushroom and the garlic. But I'm gonna set some of it into the kale bowl because I want to add some of that in my salad as well. Now, if you don't like mushrooms or zucchini, you can always substitute whatever veggies you like in this dish. Totally fine. Okay, so the rest of these veggies I'm going to add in with my kale. Stir everything together. Pour it into your pie dish. And then I'm gonna bake this for about 30 minutes at 350. Now it's up to you how many carrots you wanna do. I'm probably gonna give some to my kids for dinner some night, so I'm just gonna do this whole bag. So get yourself a medium pot. I like this one. Peel up your carrots, cut them into little rounds, and then put them in your pot, and we're just gonna add a little bit of butter, a little bit of honey and salt, and we're just gonna put them on the stove for about 15-20 minutes. Just a splash of water. Give it a stir. I'm gonna do something about those dishes, and then I'm gonna continue on. You're gonna feel so much better if you clean as you go. Okay, funny story. I totally hid my toaster in a cupboard so that it was just cleaner. And now I have to get my Vitamix blender out of that same cupboard, and it's just like a disaster. You have to see it. I might as well just be real with you guys and show you what things really look like in my house. Look at the crumbs everywhere from the toaster. Oh, that's disgusting. So I want to save some of the squash and some of the onion and pear. Oh, sorry, hello. I'm gonna save some of the squash, onion, and pear for the kale salad. So I'm gonna separate some of those, put them in a bowl, and just set them aside so that they can cool. And then the rest of the veggies and the garlic are all gonna go into a blender. I'm gonna add a little bit of coconut milk, a splash of vegetable vegetable broth, and that's gonna be my sauce that I'm gonna cook my chicken in. You can just eyeball it. It doesn't have to be exact. So about 2 pears are gonna go into your bowl, and then a little bit of onion, about a cup or so of squash. Depends on how much squash you have. You want about 2 cups of squash for the sauce, so. I'm just gonna put the rest into the blender. So, blender, coconut milk. I'm gonna add a bit of pepper. I'm gonna add a teaspoon of salt and just a little splash of broth, and you're gonna have to eyeball it and just pour in enough broth to get the right consistency that you like. Probably will need more than that, but let's start there. Okay, I need a little bit more. Yeah, okay, yeah, that looks really nice. I'm gonna quickly mix together all of the kale salad stuff because my quinoa has cooled and everything's ready to go. So that'll be really easy for me to do now. I have the kale, and I also put in the zucchini and the mushrooms in here. Squash, onions, add the veggies, add the quinoa. This is definitely gonna be a large portion, so hopefully you have somebody to share this with. Ooh, dried cranberries, pumpkin seeds, and the dressing, and that is it. It's going to be so good. Maybe a little more. I also found these unsweetened, frittata. One sec. Oh yeah, that looks good. Leave that. I have these unsweetened cranberries that I found. Mix this up, and then, oh, it's so pretty. And now we're gonna pour in that balsamic dressing. Yummy. And I feel like as this sits, it's going to taste even better. Oh yeah, this is phenomenal, guys. Check out the frittata. Oh, it looks yummy. Okay, sauce is ready to go for my chicken. So now we're gonna cook the chicken, and this chicken's gonna be really simple. You can use 4 or 5, whatever you like. And I'm just gonna salt and pepper them. I'm gonna sear them on a large pan, so each side is gonna get a sear. And then I'm gonna pour that sauce over top of it and just gently simmer it on the stove until it's fully cooked. So it should be another 20 minutes or so. This is gonna be good. I have a feeling this is gonna be so good. See that? Nice color. Oh, those are beautiful. Okay, let's be real. The worst part about meal prep is the dishes. You just cannot avoid having dishes. It is what it is. While the chicken's finishing up cooking, I'm gonna work on some protein balls, and I love these. These are just such an easy, convenient, grab and go snack that has lots of protein. It's a little bit sweet, so if you're craving something sweet, it hits the spot. So simple to make. I'm gonna be making mine with oat flour. If you don't have oat flour, all you have to do is grind up some quick oats in a blender and it will just turn into flour. But honestly, if you have made it this far and you don't have oat flour, I would say forget about making oat flour, just make it all with oats because it will be just fine. But since I already have oat flour, I'm gonna do half and half. You can decide what you prefer to do. Add half a cup of oats and half a cup of oat flour. But again, you could probably just do 1 cup of oats and it would be fine. And I recently made pancakes. I'll link the video above me, but I recently made pancakes with oat flour, and it's just such a great replacement for regular flour. It's gluten-free and it's so much healthier. So, okay, so now we're gonna add half a cup of protein powder, half a cup I recommend a vanilla protein powder, but you could also use chocolate. I feel like that would be fine as well, or unflavored would also work. A teaspoon of cinnamon. Okay, that's all my dry ingredients, so I'm just gonna mix that. I'm just gonna pour my wet stuff in the same bowl because dishes. So I have almond butter. Huh. This is the first almond butter I have bought without all the oil on top. Look at that. Okay, shout out to Barney Butter. Barney Butter, look at that. That is phenomenal. Very impressed, very impressed. 1/3 cup of almond butter. Oh, it's just like a peanut butter. Is it peanut butter? No, it's almond butter. What on earth? This is incredible. She's good. 1/4 cup of honey for our sweetener. Pour that. This is gonna be very sticky. A little bit of vanilla. And then I have some oat milk, but you could use almond milk. Just make sure it's unsweetened. Now I'm gonna see how much I need once I mix it all together because you don't want it really wet. Okay, so far it's looking pretty dry. We'll see how it feels. I'm gonna add a splash more almond milk, just a little. Just try to form it into a ball to see how it feels. If it's too crumbly, then just add a tiny bit more. But yeah, that looks right, like that. Very pleased with these. Like a cookie dough. We did it, and it looks so good. If you want more meal prep ideas, why don't you check out my other high protein meal prep videos? Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe if you liked today's video. Bye for now.